What was the strangest rule you had to respect at a friend's house? I was around 8 when I went to a friend's place for a play date and asked for a cup of water. Friend's mum pulls out one of the biggest glasses 8-year-old me had seen and filled it to the brim. I was only used to the small plastic cups at this stage, so was not used to such a large amount of water. After drinking just over a fourth of the glass, I went to go pour it out because I didn't want the rest. I was full up. Friend stopped me and said that we weren't allowed to pour out water. We had to drink it. 8-year-old me thought that was weird, but looking back, sure, good way to teach kids not to waste water, especially here in Australia where droughts are so common. So if I wasn't allowed to pour it out, what could I do with it? I thought I would just leave it for later. Friend once again stopped me and explained I wasn't allowed to leave it, I had to drink it all. I said I wasn't thirsty anymore when her mum walked in and told me that water wasn't allowed to be wasted in this house and I better drink it all. Like, right then and there. If you wanted water, you weren't allowed to leave it and come back later. You had to sit there and finish it. 8-year-old me tried to argue why I couldn't leave it for later, and the mum got pissed and had me sit at the kitchen bench stool and finish this massive glass. I sat there grumpily for ages, trying to finish this thing so I could go back to playing. I remember getting really uncomfortable because I needed to pee, and sure enough, immediately afterwards I was dashing to the toilet. I get teaching kids not to just waste water, but let them leave it to come back later. It's water. It won't spoil and they will drink it later. Or maybe don't give kids too much water. Water is precious, which is why I am going to give an adult-sized portion to a child, without giving them any say in the matter, and then forcing them to drink it. I'm passing along valuable wisdom to this kid. No boy talk. Her mum made us keep the intercom on when we were in her bedroom and would listen to us talk. If we started talking about boys, she would chime in and tell us to change the subject. We were 15 or 16. And not having the privacy to talk about crushes and stuff felt weird. That's how you get a really messed up daughter. So what do you think of the Hickson's dog? Oh, he is so cute. And smart too. Yeah, I'd take him for a walk any day. And Thompson's dog, Rick, he licked my face once. No, she didn't end up pregnant, but went wild once she got her driver's license and was able to spend a few hours on her own each night. Finally, an AskReddit for me. I grew up homeschooled up until my first year of high school. Let me tell you, I met a lot of really cool people with awesome families, but also a lot of really strange families. Homeschooling can be great until it's used for the wrong reasons, which in my experience is shockingly common. A list of weird rules I had to follow while over at different houses within homeschooling groups I was a part of. 1. No red nail polish. Her daughters couldn't paint their nails red or even wear the color red. If we were going to come over, we had to remove any red nail polish and wear non-sexual colors. 2. Could not say, "Oh my gosh," because it sounded too much like, "Oh my god," and it's a sin to take God's name in vain. 3. We needed to cover our shoulders before her brothers, and especially her father, returned home. 4. Not a rule that I personally had to follow, but one family banned the use of Crest toothpaste. Their parents had something against the brand. I'm not sure on this to be honest. 5. Was not allowed to be alone in the same rooms as friend's father. As an adult I get why, but at the time I was like. 6. One family I knew wasn't allowed to listen to music that their father didn't like. Not because he didn't like it, because it was anti-Christian. He simply just didn't like the sound. 7. Could not address her parents as anything other than "yes sir" or "yes ma'am." Which colors are sexual? All of the 50 shades of grey. I know in Germany, red used to be considered a color of whore. Don't know if it's still like that, but growing up in America with a German family, I was always told not to bring a girl home wearing red. No one was allowed to laugh at the dinner table or talk, other than to ask, "Please pass the." No one was allowed to leave the table, even for a potty emergency, until the dad was done eating. But like, that defeats the whole point of eating as a family. I'm confused. House rule: when eating dinner with their family, we weren't allowed to have a beverage of any kind, including water, with our meal. Had to wait until we were finished. I've heard this and thought it was frickin' weird. Turns out, people believe kids will fill up on drinks and not eat their food. I think people just underestimate how small a kid's stomach actually is. We had to keep our hands above the covers when we went to sleep, so they could make sure we weren't doing anything. I was 9. Literally was the last time I spent the night there. Weirdos. As a single parent with 3 young children, I used to have a nanny come help out, and occasionally she would bring her son. One day as I was picking up my children, the nanny's son farted, and she made him stand in the corner. He was only allowed to fart in the bathroom. He was 4. When I was like 11 or 12, I slept over at one of my friend's houses. I had to go to bed at 8:30 on the dot, and her mum would walk in the bedroom every 15 minutes to make sure we were asleep and not talking. I didn't have a phone, so it wasn't like I could occupy myself. I told her mom that it is hard for me to fall asleep that early, and asked if I could hang out outside of the room for a bit until I was tired. Nope. I had to go to bed at 8:30 because I was invited, and therefore I need to follow their rules. I stopped having sleepovers there and started having them with another neighborhood girl because we had a lot more freedom. The other friend's mum got mad at me for staying over at another friend's house rather than her daughter's. A good friend of mine went through a season where he didn't have running water at his house, so the rule in the house was that no one could come over unless they brought a couple gallons of water with them to pour into the toilet in the event that they had to poop. Poor kid. Growing up with that kind of stuff really sucks, even when it's only temporary, especially if other kids find out. We had to walk on a plastic sheet that was everywhere in the house, like a little 2 feet wide trail, and it had little spikes on the bottom to keep it from moving. It was to keep the wear and tear down on the carpet, and so the carpet didn't get so dirty. It made the house look so much nicer with miles of improperly cut and bent plastic paths than a few hints of dirt. This is such boomer ass shit. Make your house ugly as F for all the time you spend in it, except for maybe occasionally when you have company, or when you're getting ready to sell it. Eventually replacing carpet seems so much less terrible than having your house feel like a construction zone with plastic sheeting. No one was allowed to swim in the swimming pool because it was only for decoration. Other than that, they were normal parents. This sounds like a great, I don't want to supervise children for hours in the pool excuse.